Now, I will focus on Marxist perspective specifically to the Indian state. An interesting historical poser that has engaged the curiosity of political scientists is that how much of the structure of Indian state after independence was inherited from late colonial times. The Indian constitution adopted in 1950 did introduce some new features into the structure. First, there was a sovereign legislature elected by direct universal suffrage without communal representation, but it gave reservation to SCs and STs. Second, there is a constitutionally guaranteed set of fundamental rights of all citizens. The constitution provided parliamentary system of government like Britain, with an executive responsible to the parliament, but with an indirectly elected head of the state, that is president. It also provided an independent judiciary with certain powers pertaining to the judicial review of laws made by parliament. The constitution is also federal, with state governments responsible to directly elected state legislature, but with a distribution of powers between the union and the states. However, Partha Chatterjee writes that other than these institutional changes, the basic apparatus of governmental administration in independent India was inherited from the colonial period. The Indian members of the Indian civil service were retained after independence, but a new Indian Administrative Service IAS was constituted as its successor. The basic structure and administration of civil and criminal law was also inherited from the colonial period. The major difference was, of course, the creation of a Supreme Court and its position within the new constitutional system. However, the working of the high courts and district courts maintained an unbroken history from colonial times, continuing the same practices of legal traditions and precedents. The Indian armed forces too maintained a continuing history from the colonial period. The British tradition of a professional army strictly under the control of the political leadership was successfully maintained in the period after independence, and unlike most other countries. Marx has given at best an outline of a theory of state that contained both instrumentalist and structuralist arguments. The instrumentalist argument of Marx, readily endorsed by orthodox Marxists, believed that the executive of the modern state is a committee for managing the common affairs of the whole bourgeoisie.